Girl meets boy and it's magic. They click instantly and it feels like only fate could have pulled them together. Boy asks to take girl on a date and she agrees. She's anxious but excited, ready but lightheaded. At last the time arrives for her very own Prince Charming to whisk her away. She descends the staircase slowly, savoring the anticipation. Finally, she reaches the door, opens it, and sees not only boy, but 28 other girls who look just like her. But smiling softly to herself, she grabs boy's hand as he leads all 29 of his dates to a romantic spot on the beach. About a week later, boy decides that he no longer likes girl and denies her the sole object of her desire, a rose. As girl drags her suitcase out of the extravagant mansion she'd been residing in, she turns her tear-streaked face to the camera, shrugs, and says, "That's just life." However, girl is wrong. Her situation is not normal or one to be accustomed to. Shows like The Bachelor do not depict real life, and it is important that people who watch reality TV shows remain aware of the nature and consequences of what they are choosing to watch. Reality television shows skew reality, creating a misguided and desensitized culture that perceives the world through a haze of stereotypes. Over a span of about 45 years, the connotation associated with reality television has become increasingly negative. According to Lori Grinstaff, reality television shows create a radical set of conditions that individuals must really navigate and are popular for the use of untrained actors. Furthermore, reality television strives to broadcast a type of real that is unachievable in scripted programming. These shows differ from pre-written programs in that while scripted television shows, like soap operas and situational comedies, seek to emphasize the drama in everyday life, reality television shows try to recreate ordinary life out of extraordinary situations. The first reality television show to air in the United States was An American Family in 1973. It featured a middle-class California-based family called the Louds and squeezed the decomposition of an entire marriage into 12 one-hour episodes. At first, An American Family seemed like an anomaly. Reality television did not instantly strike a chain reaction in the broadcasting industry. In fact, it took almost 2 decades before other reality shows like The Real World and Big Brother arrived to replace An American Family. Most of reality television's popularity comes from the fact that it is chaotic, seemingly real, and leaves the viewer pitying the current state of humanity. Essentially, it is America's guilty pleasure. Reality television can be compared to a train wreck, messy but difficult to look away from. Even though we know that the things we are watching, like a husband and wife fighting to the point of divorce, have real consequences in the real world, we can't seem to tear our eyes away. But why? Reality television is so popular that in 2010, 15 of the top 20 highest rated programs were reality programs. Not to mention the fact that in 2000, more people voted for Kelly Clarkson to win the first season of American Idol than they did in the whole 2000 presidential election. Part of the reason reality television is on the rise is its voyeuristic nature. Viewers can watch subjects who know they're being filmed, but seem to be unaware of the vast number of people watching them. This provides a false sense of transparency that encourages the viewer to continue watching. We all secretly long to know what others do behind closed doors, and reality television shows give us the chance to do so. As a result of being able to delve deeply into both the good and bad aspects of another person's life, we are able to compare ourselves to those we see on the shows. Despite our own faults, we can at least bask in the fact that we're not 16 and pregnant, or naked and afraid. Another reason for why we continue to watch reality television is, despite it being a misrepresentation of the real world, is mimetic desire. Mimetic coming from the Greek word mimesis, which means to imitate. Mimetic desire is wanting something because somebody else wants it first. For example, those of you with siblings. Remember being a child content with a beloved toy? Well, how beloved did that toy seem when you saw your sibling playing with a newer, cooler toy? Not so much, right? In the same way, the situations we see on reality television shows may not necessarily be what we desire, like being stranded on a rural island and having to scavenge for food and shelter. However, when we witness a contestant's enthusiasm to win, we too become emotionally invested and begin to long for the same things. This vicious cycle of viewing and longing is a natural product of human nature, and reality television shows appeal to this desire to have what others have. Ironically, reality television shows are deceitful because the reality they present is not real at all, but actually skewed in order to gain larger audiences. Since producers enlist ordinary people to act the roles of celebrities on television, they must erect the conditions for maximizing emotional expressiveness. What does this mean? Well, this means that producers have to find ways to make ordinary people look extraordinary on camera. By manipulating shots and storylines, producers elevate untrained actors to celebrity status. For instance, the reality television show Laguna Beach, The Real Orange County, is popular for having a cast consisting almost entirely of youths. Part of the drama on the show included female leads, Lauren and Kristen, vying for the attention of male lead, Steven. Despite Kristen being only 16 years old at the time of filming, for the first episode, producers displayed the girl in a small bikini and sped up shots while favoring certain camera angles in order to make her look like a beautiful and desirable woman. Audience members would have been less engaged in the drama and love triangle of the show if they had seen Kristen for what she truly was, a young, ordinary girl. Furthermore, in order to compensate for the characters' elevated statuses and still keep some semblance of relatability, reality television shows play into social stereotypes. The reality show Sorority Life, for example, features a group of young women attending UC Davis who are pledging Sigma Alpha Epsilon Pi. Sigma members had the highest collective GPA on campus and were very focused on community service. When they allowed MTV to film the pledging process, they had hoped that the show would highlight the bright and positive parts of Sigma. However, by focusing on only 6 pledges and creating only 13 episodes out of hundreds of hours of footage, MTV made the members of Sigma look like typical drama-enthused, party-going college girls. Producers try to make reality television shows more relatable by fitting characters into presupposed molds of themselves. However, this only makes the shows more unrealistic. Likewise, Christian reality television shows are no exception. Consider the reality show Duck Dynasty, which is widely considered Christian due to the family of believers that it follows. In 2013, in an interview with GQ, Phil Robertson exclaimed that gays will not come into the kingdom of heaven. Immediately, the media turned on Robertson, attributing his ignorant and homophobic comments to his Southern origin. Subsequently, Robertson was suspended from the show's cast, and Duck Dynasty ratings plummeted 28%. Christian actors may have agendas that glorify God, but ultimately, what the production companies choose to release and what the public thinks is popular is not up to the actor. In addition to this, when people watch reality television shows, the distinctions between which feature made-up scenarios that real people must really navigate, the distinctions between real and unreal become blurred. This means that we try to draw actual life lessons from extremely situational circumstances. In particular, the reality television show Survivor upheld a list of 10 commandments that contestants adhered to. These items included rules such as "it's all about you" and "trust nobody," mantras that society would otherwise frown upon. The way people interact in overstimulated situations does not reflect how we do or ought to act in reality. By interpreting these actions and translating them into our own lives, we inhibit our ability to function appropriately in realistic settings. Reality television shows not only create a hyper-reality, but they also mentally numb us to sin by glorifying man's innate immorality and the effects of the fall. The Bible explicitly says in Romans 8:8 that those who glorify the things of the flesh cannot please God. In Galatians 5:19, Paul lays out for us exactly what he means by things of the flesh. Sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, and things like these cause Christians to set their hearts and minds on worldly pleasures rather than glorifying God in all that they do. There is a wide range of reality television shows that earned their popularity simply by placing the word naked in the title. This decade alone introduced Buying Naked, Naked Dating, Naked Castaway, and Naked Vegas. Though not classified as pornography, the naked reality shows toy with titillation, covering up frontal nudity with strategically placed objects and pixels. These sneak peeks inspire lust in the viewer and encourage us to continue watching. Reality television shows give an illusion of transparency that we crave. Because of the fall, nudity became a thing of shame. The openness and innocence of Eden is something that human souls long for and try to replace with things like hypersexualization and nudity on reality television shows. In actuality, nudity is regression. Christ, the new Adam, died for us so that we may be further clothed in his grace rather than naked in our shame. Though watching something is not the same thing as doing it, when we as Christians dwell on things that are fractured for so long, we begin to feel comfortable to the point where those same things that seem so detestable on television don't seem quite so bad anymore. This is desensitization. It occurs as a result of a person creating a nook in their mind for something that maybe shouldn't even be there in the first place, and then allowing that thing to seep into other aspects of their lives until it seems like a normal thing to do or say. Reality television has not only mental and spiritual consequences, but also social effects. Just as with the mind, reality television misleads society into equating what is real with what is normal. We begin to define ourselves according to the media culture around us, affecting our relationships, identities, and perceptions. Reality television creates a scale by which we use to measure value. Actors and scenarios on these shows become the standards to either aspire to or avoid. We relate with the ordinary celebrities we see on camera, making it easier for us to imagine ourselves as those people. When we begin to judge ourselves by this imaginary scale, we begin to judge others the same way, comparing them to what we think is average. However, treating people in the real world the way that people treat others in reality television shows would not form healthy relationships. On television, people's characters are based off of stereotypes, as noted in the story of sorority life. Producers can compress half of a person's life into merely a few hours, giving us a partial and subjective glimpse into a bigger picture. Therefore, real people do not and should not have to behave the way actors do on television, because our lives contain more complexity than the manufactured reality shows meant to influence as many people as possible. Reality television also stirs up a desire in people to be actively involved in the creation of culture. Many critics believe that this is a benefit of reality programming. It gives the American working class the opportunity to participate in public discourse and exemplify the philosophy of manifest destiny through hard work and determination, while still maintaining an air of genuineness and positively influencing those watching them. Well, this would be true if most reality stars actually use their platforms to benefit society. Though some actors attempt to do this, like Phil Robertson, a majority of people who wind up on reality television shows are more concerned with the public acknowledging them rather than acknowledging what they believe. Reality television shows preach an alternative gospel and continue to pull people farther away from Christ as a result of spiritual ignorance and human desire. They skew reality and create a misguided, desensitized culture that is based off of stereotypes. Before we watch any unscripted programming, it is so important that we first acquire a deeper understanding of what reality in its purest form is. Ephesians 6:13 says that those who put on the belt of truth will be able to withstand evil. When our foundations are built on absolute truth, it is easier for us to resist the fierce winds of false teachings. The truth is that God has already given us a reality to dwell in. The author of Hebrews writes in Hebrews 10:1 that the law alone cannot give men salvation because it is merely a shadow of the true forms of these realities. In Matthew 5:17, Jesus identifies himself as the one who came to fulfill the law or bring it to completion. Therefore, Jesus is the true form of these realities that the author of Hebrews refers to, and the only way through which we can be saved. When Jesus defeated death by embracing it on the cross, he invited us into a new and beautiful kingdom where the standard is the creator and not the creation. And what do we do in response? We choose to exist in the twisted, false kingdom that reality shows construct, a kingdom that revels in the effects of the fall and reduces sin to an amendable quirk. Reality television shows teach that whether it's through winning a competition or getting a makeover or finding the love of our lives, we can all be better versions of ourselves. However, just as Romans 5:8 says, Christ saw the world's sin and he died for it anyway. He saw that in our ordinariness and inability to reach his kingdom, we needed a savior who would love all of us without exception. This is the reality that we have to understand. We don't need to be celebrities to feel self-worth. We simply need to turn our affections toward the Lord. Reality television shows, in their twisted convolution of authenticity, hold us back from real relationships, real love, and real life. Thank you.
I'm going to let Mrs. Taylor start, but Dayo, I just want to say, wow. I mean, the amount of effort that you put in to have your eyes up, I mean, that was remarkable. Thank you.
Dayo, that was very good.